Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world one book at a time.
Today, we're turning that lens inward. We're looking at maybe the most intimate system of all.
The domestic sphere?
Exactly. We're going to examine the institutional design of modern long-term partnership.
And right off the bat, before anyone thinks this is about to become a relationship advice column or some kind of, how to save your marriage seminar, let's be really, really clear about our scope here.
Please.
We are not talking about personal solutions today. We aren't talking about tax codes or who does the dishes. Well, actually, we might talk about the dishes.
We probably will.
But only as a symptom of a much, much larger architecture that's usually invisible to us.
Right. We're looking at that invisible architecture, the one that governs how we relate to the people we love most. Because there's a massive structural tension sitting right in the middle of our living rooms. And most of us, we don't see it as a system.
We see it as a personal failure.
Always. What's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with us?
So the core question we are grappling with in this deep dive is this. Why does the very structure intended to secure love, marriage, commitment, domesticity, why does that system so often, almost systematically, dismantle erotic desire?
It's arguably the defining tension of modern romantic life. I mean, if you look at the data and you listen to the lived experience of millions of people, we are in a very strange place.
How so?
We've created what are, on paper, the best marriages in history. They're more egalitarian than ever before. They are chosen freely. They're based on love and friendship, not property transfer.
All the things we value.
All the things we say we want. And yet, if you look at the numbers, sexual frequency and, maybe more importantly, erotic satisfaction in long-term relationships is plummeting.
So that's the paradox right there, isn't it? We have better marriages, but worse sex. Or maybe not worse, but just less vital.
Exactly. Less vitality. We work so hard to build this perfect container, a relationship that does everything. Safety, deep respect, friendship, a shared history, a real partnership. It is the dream. And yet the moment we finally achieve that total safety, we often look around and realize the erotic charge has just vanished.
And because we don't understand the system, we assume something is wrong with us.
Immediately, we think, I must not love him anymore, or she's just not attracted to me, or we're broken, we need therapy to fix us.
But today, we're going to explore the argument that this isn't a bug in the system. It's actually a feature, or at least it's a direct, predictable output of how we've designed the machine.
Correct. It's the logical result of the inputs.
And our source material for this deep dive is the absolutely groundbreaking text Mating in Captivity, Reconciling the Erotic and the Domestic by Esther Perel.
Perel is a therapist, yes. But what makes this book so powerful is that she operates almost like a sociologist here, or an anthropologist. She's looking at Western companionate marriage culture from a systems level.
And she's looking at these couples who seemingly have everything, right? They communicate well, they're egalitarian, they're best friends.
The model couple. And yet they come to her office and say, we love each other, but we haven't had sex in a year. We feel like roommates. They feel erotically dead.
She basically says we're having a crisis in perception about our own relationships. We're trying to solve a structural problem with psychological tools, and it's just not working.
Precisely. You can't therapize your way out of a design flaw.
Okay, so let's start where we always do on this show, with the history.
Yeah.
Because I think we have this baked-in assumption that the way we do marriage now, marrying your soulmate, your best friend, is the way it's always been done.
Oh, it is absolutely not. It's a blip on the historical radar. And to understand why the current system is straining so much, we have to establish that historical baseline.
So what was it before?
For the vast, vast majority of human history, marriage was not primarily about erotic fulfillment. It wasn't even primarily about emotional connection.
It was a business deal.
It was an economic alliance, a merger. It was a way to organize social life, to transfer property, to raise children who could work the land. It was a duty.
So in that traditional model, love was, what, a luxury?
Love was optional, a bonus. Respect was mandatory, duty was mandatory, but romantic love, that was nice if it happened. If you loved your spouse, great. If not, you made it work because the farm needed running and society depended on it.
And passion, where did that fit in?
Passion was often found outside the marriage. Or, more commonly, it just wasn't expected at all. You didn't look across the breakfast table at your husband in, say, 1850 and think, why doesn't he understand my inner soul and also make my knees weak?
Oh, right.
You looked across the table and thought, is he a good provider? Is the roof leaking? Are the kids fed?
So the bar was lower.
The bar was just different. It was a different set of expectations entirely. And the emotional load was distributed. This is maybe the most critical structural shift of all, the collapse of the village.
Okay, let's really unpack that. We hear the phrase, it takes a village all the time, but it's almost always in the context of raising children. You're talking about something much broader here.
Yeah, much broader. Think about what a village, a real functioning community, actually provided in a pre-industrial setting.
Okay.
You had neighbors who helped with the harvest or the barn raising. That's shared labor. You had siblings and cousins living nearby for companionship and play. That's social life. You had elders for wisdom and guidance. You had the church for spiritual grounding. You had a distinct men's culture and a distinct women's culture.
So if I was feeling lonely, I went to my sister. If I needed advice, I went to my grandmother. If I needed help fixing a fence, I went to the neighbor.
Exactly. You didn't turn to your spouse for everything. Your spouse was one, very important, but just one pillar in a very large structure of support.
But today, in modern urban life, we've stripped all of that away, haven't we?
Completely. We're transient. We move for jobs. We live in apartments or suburban houses, often isolated from our extended families. We're largely secular. The community hubs are gone.
And the result of that isn't just that we're lonelier, it's that we've redirected all those needs.
We have centered all those needs, all those expectations onto one single person.
The partner.
The partner. This is the all-in-one expectation that Perel talks about. We now demand our partner be our best friend, our most trusted confidant, our co-parent, our financial partner, our emotional anchor, our intellectual equal, and our passionate, adventurous lover.
We want them to be the entire village.
We want one person to be the village. We want the stability of a grandparent, the fun of a best friend, and the mystery of a stranger, all wrapped up in the same package.
That sounds impossible. Just hearing you list it all out like that, I feel tired for that person.
It is structurally profoundly difficult, if not impossible. Because we have collapsed contradictory needs into a single unit, we are asking one relationship, one person, to provide two fundamentally opposing things: security and adventure.
Okay, hold on. Let's dig into that. Why are those necessarily opposing? I mean, can I be a secure person who is also adventurous? I feel like I can be both.
You, as an individual, can certainly embody both qualities. But can a relationship system be optimized to provide both simultaneously? That's the real question.
Okay.
Let's look at the system inputs for each. What does security require? Security is about anchors. It's about predictability, safety, reliability, trust.
Ooh.
It's the feeling of home. It creates a sense of continuity. It's the comfort of knowing, I know you. I know what you're going to say next. I know you won't hurt me. You'll be there when I get back.
Right. That's the domestic part of the title, the captivity, in a way.
Exactly. Now look at adventure. Look at the erotic. What are its inputs? Adventure is about waves. It's not about the anchor. It's about the untamed ocean. It needs mystery, risk, the unknown.
A thrill.
The thrill of the hunt. It requires a certain level of volatility, of unpredictability.
But volatility is usually a bad word in relationship therapy, isn't it?
In the security model, yes, volatility is a threat to stability. But in the erotic model, volatility is the fuel. You cannot have a genuine adventure if you know exactly what is going to happen at every turn.
Right, that's just a commute.
It's a commute. And here is the system failure that Perel identifies. Modern marriage is designed perfectly for security. It is an efficiency engine for safety, predictability, and comfort.
Yeah.
But that very design inherently crowds out, it systemically eliminates the volatility required for adventure.
So in the process of perfecting the safe harbor, we've effectively drained the entire ocean.
That is a very, very apt way to put it. We have optimized for safety, and now we stand around wondering why we're no longer thrilled.
This leads us right to the core of Perel's analysis, which he calls the paradox of intimacy. And I have to say, this part of the book just completely flips the script on how we're all taught to think about relationships.
It really does.
Because the modern narrative, the stuff we see on Instagram, the stuff we hear in every rom-com, the advice we get from, well, everywhere, is that true love equals no secrets.
Yes, the transparency mandate. Total, radical honesty is the goal.
We're told that the closer we are, the better the sex will be. We're told to merge, to become one.
This is what she calls the fusion model of intimacy. The belief that two people should ideally blend into a single, cohesive entity. We finish each other's sentences. We know what the other person is thinking before they say it. We share the same bathroom schedule. We have no boundaries.
The flannel nightgown effect.
The flannel nightgown effect. And Perel uses this very striking case study to illustrate it. A woman she calls Adele.
Right, Adele. I found this story so heartbreaking, precisely because it's so mundane. It's not some grand Shakespearean tragedy. It's the quiet tragedy of boredom.
Can you walk us through it?
So, Adele loves her husband, Alan. She's very clear about that. They are incredibly close. They're that couple that does absolutely everything together, but the spark, the electricity is just gone.
Completely flatlined.
And she compares the early days of their relationship to now. In the beginning, she did these grand theatrical gestures. She once bought him a new briefcase and secretly hid tickets to Paris inside.
That's risk. It's a seduction. What if he didn't want to go to Paris? What if he hated the briefcase? There's an edge to it.
Exactly. And now, she says they celebrate big occasions by eating his mother's meatloaf recipe. And she says, look, nothing against meatloaf, but that's what it's come to.
The meatloaf is the perfect symbol of the system rewarding comfort and predictability over everything else. The system's incentives are all aligned to prioritize safety over vitality.
So as the relationship progresses, familiarity just keeps increasing.
Infinitely. You know how he chews. You know all his stories by heart. You know his smell in the morning. But as that familiarity goes up, the sense of separateness goes down.
And this is where Perel drops the hammer. And I really want to spend a second on this because it's so profound and so counterintuitive. She says, desire needs separateness.
This is the core mechanism of desire versus love. We have to separate these two engines because they run on completely different kinds of fuel.
Okay, break that down. Love versus desire.
Love seeks to know. The engine of love runs on familiarity. Love seeks to close the distance. It wants to minimize the gap between me and you. Its goal is communion. I want to be close to you. I want to know everything about you.
That feels like the goal of a good marriage.
It is the goal of companionate marriage, absolutely. But desire is different. Desire needs a bridge to cross. It is activated by the gap, by the distance.
It's about wanting.
It's about wanting, and structurally, foundationally, you cannot want what you already have.
You cannot want what you already have. I mean, that is such a simple and kind of devastating sentence.
Think about the physics of it. It's not a judgment, it's just a reality. If you have something in your hand, you don't desire it in the erotic sense. You possess it, you might enjoy it, you might cherish it, but you don't yearn for it. Yearning requires a gap. It requires an other that is not you.
So if I am one with my partner, if we are completely fused,
there is no one left to desire. You have already colonized the territory. There is no mystery left to explore, no new land to discover. You've mapped the entire continent. It's safe, it's yours, but it's no longer exciting.
So the structural short circuit here is that by doing exactly what our culture tells us to do, by becoming best friends, removing all secrets, achieving total intimacy, we are systematically eliminating the very space where eroticism lives.
We suffocate it with closeness. We kill it with kindness.
That feels like a trap. It really does. It feels like we are set up to fail. If I get close, I lose desire. If I stay distant, I don't have a marriage. What do you do?
Well, it's not a binary trap. It's a dialectic. It's a constant tension that has to be managed, not a problem that can be solved. And this is where Perel introduces the concept of erotic intelligence, which is essentially the ability to consciously, deliberately create artificial distance. It's the ability to step back from the comfort zone and see your partner as a separate entity again, to reintroduce a little bit of that essential otherness.
Can you give me a concrete example of that? Because artificial distance sounds a bit abstract, maybe a little cold.
Okay, think about this. When are you often most attracted to a long-term partner? When does that spark, that jolt of whoa, suddenly come back after a long time?
Usually when we're apart for a little while. Or, actually, I know for me, it's often when I see them doing their thing. Like if I see them totally in their element, giving a speech or fixing something complicated, and they are completely absorbed and not paying any attention to me at all.
Exactly. Why do you think that is? What's happening in that moment?
I guess because they don't look like my spouse in that moment. They don't look like the person who leaves their socks on the floor. They look like a whole separate person.
They look like a competent, independent, sovereign entity. You're seeing them from a distance. They are in their power. And they aren't yours completely in that moment. They belong to the audience or to the task at hand. There's a boundary.
Right, there's a gap, a space.
And in that gap, desire can rush back in. You have a flicker of a thought. Wow, who is that person? But the domestic system, the system of marriage, is designed to constantly close that gap. The domestic system says, come sit on the couch in your sweatpants and tell me every single thought you had today.
It's really interesting because this leads us right into another massive structural conflict she identifies. And this one feels even sharper, a bit more political. Perel calls it the democracy paradox.
This is where politics and ideology enter the bedroom.
We live in a culture, at least in the modern West, that values democracy, equality, and fairness above almost anything else. We want our households to be egalitarian. We want consensus. We want emotional safety. We want to make sure everyone is heard and respected.
And let's be clear, those are noble and essential values for running a household. They are excellent for raising children and managing a mortgage and deciding on a vacation. If you run your joint bank account like a tyrant, your marriage will probably fail.
But Perel makes the very provocative argument that those same values are often profoundly anti-erotic.
Correct. They can be poison to desire.
That's a really tough pill to swallow. I mean, are we saying that equality kills sex? That feminism is bad for the bedroom?
No, not at all. It's more nuanced than that. We are saying that eroticism, the force of desire, often thrives on dynamics that are not egalitarian. Desire, in its raw form, often involves power dynamics. It can involve aggression, ruthlessness, a play of dominance and submission.
It's not always nice.
It's inherently unfair, in a way. One person takes, the other gives. One person pursues, the other is captured. It's a game of tension.
But we try to sanitize that. We try to create what you might call the PC bedroom, the politically correct bedroom.
We try to make sex match our clean, egalitarian, daytime lives. We want it to be nice. We want it to be respectful. We want it to be mutually agreed upon in a consensus-based meeting after a thorough discussion of feelings.
Right.
But fantasy is often not respectful. Fantasy, by its very nature, is about breaking the rules we live by during the day.
There's a fascinating case study in the book that really illustrates this about a man named Marcus. And I think this challenges a lot of our gender stereotypes.
Marcus is the classic example. He's a high-powered CEO. All day, every day, he is in charge. He carries the immense weight of responsibility for hundreds of employees. He makes the hard decisions. People rely on him. He is the alpha.
But in the bedroom,
He wants to submit. He wants to be dominated. He wants to lose control completely.
now, the amateur psychologist, or maybe a bad therapist, might look at that and say, oh, he has issues. That's a pathology. He secretly hates himself or his mother.
But a systems analysis sees something completely different. This is a balancing mechanism. It's not a pathology. It's a profound form of relief. He is seeking freedom from the crushing burden of his daytime identity. He wants, for just a little while, to hand over the reins. He wants a space where he doesn't have to be responsible for the outcome.
But here's the trap for him. Because his marriage, his very good marriage, is built on this contract of safety and mutual respect and equality, he feels he can't possibly bring that dynamic home to his wife.
It feels too risky. It feels politically incorrect. What does it mean if he, the protector and provider, tells his equal partner that he wants to be tied up or dominated? Does that break the contract of the responsible husband?
So the very safety of the marriage contract makes it too dangerous to reveal these unsafe urges.
Exactly. What if she judges him? What if she thinks he's weak or weird? What if it just changes the way she sees him as her protector? So what happens? The erotic energy gets split off, he suppresses it, or he takes it elsewhere. He might hire a professional or have an affair, not because he doesn't love his wife, but because the structure of their equality can't hold the weight of his inequality fantasy.
This also bleeds into what Perel calls the fairness trap. We start treating sex like another household chore that has to be distributed equally.
The sex as a chore mentality is absolutely lethal to desire. It creates this transactional idea that pleasure must be earned or traded fairly.
I did the dishes and put the kids to bed, so I deserve sex.
Or, we haven't had sex in 3 days, so we need to schedule it to be fair to the relationship. It becomes another item on the shared Google Calendar.
Buy milk. Pick up kids from soccer. Have scheduled intimacy from 9:15 to 9:45 p.m.
And we also fall into the trap of making verbal intimacy a mandatory prerequisite. We create this rigid belief that we must talk and feel close in order to have sex.
I need to feel emotionally connected before I can possibly be aroused. I mean, you hear that all the time.
And that is absolutely true for many people, especially those who operate primarily in the love model of connection. But for others, and this is a crucial distinction, sex is the only way they truly connect.
So it's the reverse.
It's the reverse. They don't want to talk about their feelings to get to the sex. They want to have sex to get to the feelings. The physical act is their language of intimacy.
That is such a crucial distinction.
And when we enforce a single verbal egalitarian model, when we say we have to talk this out first and make sure we're both in the same place emotionally, we inadvertently pathologize the people who connect through the act itself. We force them to use a language they aren't fluent in just to get to the one place where they feel truly at home.
So we have the security paradox. Too much safety kills desire. We have the democracy paradox. Too much equality can kill the erotic power dynamic.
Hmm.
But then comes the event that Perel describes as, and I'm quoting here, the fatal blow to the erotic system for many couples.
The arrival of children.
The transition from a system of two to a system of three.
Structurally, this is a seismic reorganization. The couple, as a unit, transforms almost overnight from lovers into a logistical management unit.
I think anyone with kids just nodded their head so hard it hurt. Logistical management unit is the most unsexy phrase I have ever heard in my life, and yet is the most accurate description of early parenting I've ever come across.
It's fundamentally a resource crisis. Time, sleep, privacy, energy, these suddenly become incredibly scarce commodities. But it's more than just being tired. It's a profound shift in identity.
And this is where Perel talks about the modern cult of the child. This isn't just about we love our kids. This is a specific, modern, and very demanding ideology.
Parenthood Inc., as she sometimes calls it. Modern parenting is intensive. It is child-centric. It is riddled with anxiety. We have, in many ways, sanctified the child.
What do you mean by sanctified?
Meaning the child's needs are seen as sacred, and they always trump the parent's needs.
Especially the parents' erotic needs.
Oh, absolutely. The parent's erotic needs are viewed as secondary at best, or more often as actively selfish. If you lock the bedroom door to have sex, you are seen as excluding the child. If you go away for a romantic weekend, you are abandoning the child. The couple's intimacy becomes a threat to the cult of the child.
There's a case study in the book of a woman named Stephanie, and she describes a feeling that I think is incredibly common, but is almost never talked about openly. She feels used up.
This is a somatic experience. It's a physical reality for her. She has small children. They are hanging on her, touching her, nursing, meeting her body all day long. She is in mother mode, nurturing, protecting, giving. By the end of the day, she has what she calls touch overload.
She just wants her body back. She wants a 10-foot radius of nobody touching her or needing anything from her.
Exactly. She wants to reclaim her physical boundaries, but then her husband approaches her for sex, for intimacy. And in that system, in that moment, he isn't a lover offering pleasure and connection. He is just another person wanting something from her.
Oof. That reframing just changes everything. Because he thinks he's offering a gift. Hey, let's be close, let's connect. But she perceives it as another demand. Oh my God, what do you want now? Get off me.
Exactly. The signals are completely crossed because they're operating in two different systems. And there's this tiny anecdote about egg cups that Stephanie shares that is so telling. She talks about how before kids, she used to be messy, a bit of a bohemian. But now, with the constant chaos of toddlers, she has become obsessed with cleaning the egg cups in the refrigerator door. She's scrubbing them.
She's trying to control the chaos.
That is the key. Parenthood is inherently chaotic. It's messy, it's loud, it's unpredictable. So to manage it, she goes into hyper-control mode. But eroticism. Eroticism requires the exact opposite. It requires letting go, it requires surrender.
You can't be the general managing the battlefield and the submissive surrendered lover at the exact same time.
You cannot be in logistical management mode and erotic surrender mode simultaneously. The drives are diametrically opposed, so the home becomes a place of caretaking, of duty, of management.
Which are the enemies of the selfishness required for erotic pleasure. And let's be clear about that, because I think this is another taboo that Perel really breaks. Eroticism is selfish.
It has to be. In the moment of real passion, you aren't thinking about the school run or the mortgage payment. You aren't thinking about whether the kids have eaten enough vegetables. You are focused entirely on your own pleasure and the pleasure you are taking from your partner. You have to be able to shut out the world.
But if you live in the cult of the child, that kind of selfishness is the ultimate sin.
So we establish what Perel calls the erotic embargo. The home's physical space reflects this. Toys everywhere. Bedroom doors that are never closed, kids sleeping in the parents' bed. The physical space is colonized by the children. The adults are just the staff running the facility.
It paints a pretty bleak picture for the bedroom. It really does. But this leads us to another fascinating system dynamic, the way we try to fix it, and how those attempts often make everything worse.
The dreaded feedback loop of fixing it.
So, desire fades. The couple finally realizes, hey, we aren't having sex. We're just roommates who co-manage children. What is the standard intervention? What does every magazine, every blog, every therapist tell them to do first?
You need to work on the relationship. You need to get closer. You need to schedule a date night and spend more quality time together. You need to talk about it more.
So they double down on the very thing that may have caused the problem.
Fusion.
They talk more, they share more feelings, they try to be even better friends. But let's go back to the core paradox we discussed. Intimacy, defined as closeness, often acts as a dampener on desire, which requires distance. So by trying to fix the lack of desire with more closeness, they are pouring water on the very fire they're trying to light.
That is so profoundly counterintuitive, it feels like. If your car engine is broken, the advice is to fix the engine. But here, fixing the engine, making the companionate relationship better, is what's stalling the car.
It creates a vicious feedback loop. They increase the safety and the talking, which decreases the mystery and the risk, which kills the desire even more. So they sit on the couch and have a long, earnest, vulnerable conversation about why they don't have sex, which is possibly the least sexy thing a human being can do. And this brings us to the shadow of the third. Because nothing reintroduces risk and volatility into a system quite like the realization that your partner could leave you.
Monogamy is, at its heart, a contract of exclusivity. We agree to be with no one else, and we do this primarily to eliminate the threat of the third, the outsider, the rival, the other
We
person.
want to banish the anxiety of loss. We want to know with certainty, you are mine forever, no matter what.
But Perel argues that a small, manageable dose of that very anxiety, the ambient realization that your partner is a free agent, that they could, in fact, choose someone else, is actually essential fuel for desire.
Wait, hold on. Let's be careful here. Are we advocating for making our partners jealous on purpose? Because that sounds, well, it sounds toxic. It sounds like playing games.
It's not about playing games. It's not about manufacturing drama. It's about acknowledging reality. The shadow of the third doesn't mean you go out and flirt with a waiter to make your husband mad. It means acknowledging the deeper existential fact that your partner does not actually belong to you.
They are on loan from the universe.
Exactly. Even if there is no actual affair, no actual rival, the shadow of that possibility must exist. You have to be able to look at this person who is right now washing the dishes in their old t-shirt and realize that they could be desired by someone else, that they have a life and an identity that could theoretically exist without you.
But the whole system of modern marriage is designed to make us feel like we own the partner. Till death do us part, you complete me. All that language is about possession.
Right. And ownership is the enemy of desire. You treat what you own with carelessness. You take it for granted. You don't look at your comfortable old couch and think, I wonder if that couch is going to leave me today for a more exciting living room. You just sit on it.
Right. The couch is secure. No risk there.
But when you suddenly see your partner through the eyes of a stranger, or when you realize someone else at a party finds them attractive, suddenly their value shoots up. The taken-for-granted object becomes a desired subject again.
So jealousy, in those small, fleeting doses, can be a powerful aphrodisiac.
It's a wake-up call. It's the system saying, warning, this person is not a fixture in your house. They are a separate, desirable human being. But because our entire system is built on maximizing security, we try to crush that feeling. We demand total fidelity, not just in action, but in thought, in fantasy.
We want to eliminate the threat entirely. We want to know they never even look at anyone else.
And in doing so, we eliminate the very tension that keeps the erotic spark alive. And this, structurally, is why affairs so often happen.
Perel has a very interesting systems-level take on affairs. And I want to be really careful here because, of course, affairs cause immense, devastating pain. She is not condoning them in any way.
No, absolutely not. She is analyzing the function they serve in the system.
And she argues that very often an affair is not about finding a new partner. It's about finding a new self.
Can you say more about that? It's a crucial point.
Well, in your marriage, you are the responsible father. You are the guy who takes out the trash. You are the guy who worries about the mortgage and the kids' braces. That identity becomes calcified over time. It's heavy.
And let's be honest, it can be pretty boring.
Incredibly boring. The affair, then, offers a mirror where you are none of those things. You don't have a mortgage with your affair partner. You don't discuss the kids' report cards. In that context, you are just a lover. You are daring. You are transgressive. You are risky.
You're not cheating on your wife, you're cheating on your life.
That's the line from the book that hits so hard. You are breaking out of the captivity of your domestic role. The affair provides the otherness, the risk, the adventure that the marriage has systematically eliminated.
It's tragic, really, because often the person having the affair deeply wants to bring that vitality, that aliveness back to the marriage. They want to be that exciting, adventurous person with their spouse. But the structure of the marriage, the safety first contract, won't allow it.
The structure says, nope, you must be the reliable meatloaf eater here. You cannot be the spontaneous Paris adventurer here. That's not who you are in this system.
So let's zoom out. We've looked at the living room system, the bedroom system, the nursery system. But these domestic systems don't exist in a vacuum, do they? How does all this connect to the larger world we're living in?
This is where we have to connect the domestic crisis to the macro crisis. Because we're asking so much of our partners, but why? Why are we clinging to them so hard for security?
It's because we're living in a time of immense economic precarity and social isolation. The outside world feels increasingly unstable and dangerous.
Jobs are insecure, communities are fragmented, politics are incredibly volatile, climate change is a constant low-grade hum of anxiety in the background.
The sociologist Anthony Giddens calls this ontological anxiety. It's the deep existential anxiety of just existing in a fluid, unpredictable modern world where all the old certainties are gone.
So because the world outside our front door is so unsafe.
We demand our homes be hypersafe. We cannot tolerate risk or volatility in our primary relationship because we are completely maxed out on risk everywhere else in our lives.
That makes perfect sense. If my job is stressful and the news is terrifying, the last thing I want is mystery and unpredictability when I come home. I don't want volatility. I want a flannel nightgown and a meatloaf.
Exactly. So the macroeconomic and political environment directly reinforces the anti-erotic, safety-first nature of the home. We simply don't have the psychological bandwidth for the danger of desire. We need our partner to be the anchor in a terrifying storm.
Yeah, and then there's the whole efficiency culture aspect of modern life. We live in a world obsessed with optimization, with life hacks.
And we try to apply those management principles to sex. You see it everywhere. Books and articles like 5 Minutes to Orgasm or How to Schedule Intimacy for Maximum ROI. We want quantifiable results from our love lives.
We want a return on investment for our intimacy. If we go on this expensive date night, we should have sex. Otherwise, it was a waste of time and money.
We want to hack it. We want to streamline it. But play, which is what eroticism fundamentally is, a form of adult play, is inherently inefficient. It's messy. It's time-consuming. It doesn't have a clear goal or KPI. Efficiency is the enemy of play. You cannot optimize seduction. Seduction takes time. It takes wandering and getting lost.
But we try anyway. And when it doesn't work, when desire still fades, that's when we fall into the crisis in perception.
This is the core error that Perel's work is trying to correct. We perceive erotic dissatisfaction as a personal incompatibility or a personal failing. We think, I picked the wrong person, or she doesn't love me anymore, or there's something wrong with my libido, I'm broken.
We pathologize it. We turn it into a medical problem or a psychological disorder that needs to be fixed.
But the reality is, it is a structural contradiction built into the design of modern love. We are trying to force two opposing needs, absolute safety and thrilling adventure, into one rigid container without acknowledging the friction that will inevitably produce.
It's like trying to be a vegan butcher and then being surprised and blaming yourself when you're failing at your job.
It's a perfect analogy. It's not that you are bad at it. It's that the mandate itself is contradictory. And recognizing this is so crucial. It stops the blame game. It stops you from thinking your partner is withholding sex from you on purpose, out of malice.
It's the system. The system is working exactly as it was designed. It's delivering security and companionship beautifully. Yeah. It's just that security comes with a cost.
And that cost is very often vitality.
So after all this analysis, where does this leave us? We aren't in the business of offering solutions in the sense of here are 3 tips for better sex, but Perel does offer a way to think about moving forward, a shift in perception.
She offers a fundamental perspective shift. The key takeaway is that if you want to maintain eroticism in a long-term companionate marriage, you have to understand that it is an act of defiance.
Eroticism in the home is an act of open defiance. I just love that phrase so much.
You are actively fighting against the natural entropy of the domestic system. The system, left to its own devices, wants you to be comfortable roommates. It wants you to be efficient co-managers. To remain lovers, you have to consciously break the rules of your own safe home.
You have to reintroduce a little bit of that risk.
You have to reintroduce distance, and you have to accept the profound and sometimes scary truth that you can never fully know or possess your partner.
That is a scary thought. The idea that I don't fully know the person I've slept next to for 10 years, That goes against everything we're told.
It is scary. It requires accepting a certain level of uncertainty and mystery into the heart of your most secure relationship. It means looking at your spouse and realizing they have thoughts I will never hear. They have dreams that I am not a part of. They have a whole inner world, a sexuality that is ultimately separate from me.
And instead of letting that realization terrify you,
You let it fascinate you. You let it turn you on. Because that space, that mystery, that separateness is the only place where desire can continue to breathe.
so it's about maintaining the erotic space by actively respecting the otherness of the person you love the most. It's daring to be strangers, even for a moment, in your own house.
And that is a constant active process. It's not a problem you solve once and for all. It's a tension you learn to manage and even to play with for a lifetime.
That feels like the perfect place to leave it. Attention to be managed, not a problem to be solved.
This has been a deep dive into Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. It's a book that will fundamentally change how you see the person sleeping next to you. We highly, highly encourage you to pick it up from your local library or bookstore.
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a shorter visual overview of this topic, see the mini explainer linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.